Okay, keep going, Binary.
Yeah. Rockstar hit on a thing. Basically, you have these cinematics, the cinematic section trying to bash up against the game section, and for some games it's worked, and some games it hasn't. And one thing I want to say is this. Again, I've been gaming since forever. When it came to a cutscene or something, that was kind of something special. You would game forever and then have a tiny little cutscene about something to do with the story, and that was kind of a treat. And when you got into the more graphical intensive things as consoles evolved, the computer systems evolved, it became more and more of that treat because you'd see like an even more graphical like craziness that was going on with your video game that you weren't really seeing as you were playing. They're kind of like a little treat, and then you keep going, you keep going, you keep going, and you're seeing things where it's like, okay, they're trying to meld it seamlessly to a point where now you have hallway simulators. You know what? Let's just get you to the next cinematic moment, move you from point A to point B, just press forward on your fucking controller, press X, win the combat, get to that cinematic experience. We have a story to tell. And like Rockstar was saying, maybe they should just make a movie at the point. Final Fantasy 13, the very first one, maybe they should have just made a fucking movie.
Yeah, it harkens back to the idea of these game developers want to be movie directors. I mean, even Hideo Kojima, who's being heralded as this great game director, and I like his games. I mean, he wants to do movies.
Well, then we have to consider, let's think about this. What makes his games work, even with all this heavy movie element, what makes his games work versus something like Final Fantasy 13? I think it comes back to that it has the engaging gameplay when you get down to the gameplay section. Yeah, you're gonna have those long story elements, but the gameplay that you're playing is very engaging and it's drawing you in. Now, this is getting like very big on artistry, more larger than what I was trying to actually talk about originally, I think. Was I? Yeah. Anyway, it's getting to a point where you're seeing a thing where the indie sector is starting to emulate that, and they're becoming more movie-like. Where when I was first seeing the indie sector pop up, especially on Steam, it was becoming more of a, well, you know what? All these AAA titles, they're just gonna shove as much of this crazy ass overproduced shit as possible, especially around like Mass Effect like 2 and 3. Say what you want about those games, yeah, I enjoyed Mass Effect 2, but there were a lot of sections where I just had to I just had to like push through simply because it came to a point where, well, fuck, I'm just doing another cover shooter and it's not that engaging of a cover shooter. You know what I mean? Especially when you played classes that were not made for cover shooters. That's where they fucked up in Mass Effect games, as far as I'm concerned. Mass Effect 1 was brilliant on that. Mass Effect 2 and 3 just kind of said, well, you know what? You're playing a class that's not really good for cover shooters, so you're going to spend about 20 more minutes in any given fucking cover at any given time. Fuck you. Yeah. So I hope you enjoy this small clip of this blue chick's ass. There, that's your consolation prize. But you get to this point where the indie sector was like, well, you know what? We don't have the money to produce all these crazy cinematics, but we can produce like some interesting and unique gameplay that you probably haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, and, Depression Quest.
Well, not Depression Quest.
Oh, please.
But like various things like Cave Story. I can't remember the last time I've seen a AAA title actually push through a fucking platformer, an action platformer like that. That was that goddamn deep, and when I say deep, I mean in terms of difficulty. Like I like to try to play my games on the strongest difficulty possible, out of the box, and Depression Quest hit me on an area where I just could not continue. My skills were inadequate, no matter how much I went, and I had to jump back down and deal with different difficulty levels. But you don't really see that in AAA titles, and that was what the indie game sector, at least from what I was seeing pop up at that time, was supposed to promise. Those sort of begotten era of or that forgotten era of just wild game development. Back in the NES, SNES days. I'm sorry if you're a Sega fan. I'm using Nintendo as a chronology, but back in those days where there really weren't rules and there really wasn't a huge focus group thing, and people were just kind of making whatever they could to try to sell. That's what the indie game dev system was going to Sphere was going to produce, and for a lot of it, it's been doing that. But I think the bigger thing that's come to Gamergate is we've found that even with that, there's been certain types of games that have been pushed simply because of who knows who, and they've been really shitty games. Like, honestly, I could bang out a Gone Home and or a Depression Quest in like a weekend, and I don't know shit one about game design. I'm trained as a computer engineer, but I'm pretty sure the game engines they fucking used, I can pick up in about an hour, and I can finish the game before I even have fucking lunch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not to say that we should judge things by how much work it takes, but we should probably judge things. This goes back to that gameplay argument. We should judge things, if we're going to be judging things on a gameplay art form, we should judge things on the gameplay. Now, if you want to push a certain story or narrative or whatever, there are certain ways you can do it in gameplay that can be groundbreaking or exciting. Just reading something and clicking next is not
engaging,
compelling. Honestly, I do that on websites all fucking day long. I don't see how that is a video game. You could go to Wikipedia and have the same goddamn experience as Depression Quest. Do you click this link to find out more about this, or do you click this other fucking link? You know, there. And
I hear you.
I just don't.
But Depression Quest is free. Not that I played it, or I'm not obviously trying to shill for it.
That's fine, and that's a huge. That's part of this huge little controversy that sparked all this shit, and honestly, that just seems to die by the wayside. And I hate. All right,
sorry to cut in, but
what's up?
I got 15 minutes left till I got to go back on my run here. But just want to say I appreciate y'all inviting me to chat, and I'll see you around.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Rogue.
Anytime, dude. Anytime. I'll see you around.
Yeah, definitely. Tweet IA for us and some other people.
Oh yeah, just did.
Just did. Thank you.
See ya.
They really helped out a lot. But thanks for coming in. And yeah, see ya. And also stepping in, we have Ranix. Hopefully he doesn't take a shit all over our stream, but I'm sure he'll probably just make it better because we fucking suck. But what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great. What's up? Tell us about you and what you wanted to say.
I actually don't have anything to say. I just wanted to be in the stream.
Oh,
okay. Sure.
All right then.
So, do you consider yourself a gamer?
Are you gamer or gamer plus? That's the real question.
What's a gamer plus?
Gamer plus feminist or plus, it's like atheist plus.
Oh, okay.
Definitely a gamer. I've been in the Burgers and Fries IRC since the beginning.
Yeah, since back when it was conspiracy days.
Yep.
Cool. I want to take a moment to say to everyone that's watching the stream, by the way, this is being brought to you by spellsfire.com. We're a new website coming up. Not necessarily game review website. Don't think traditional blog. It's kind of like a mix between 4chan and Reddit. User content is going to have the ability to go on the front page, but user content, the intention is that anyone can write for us. And as long as you get, enough upvotes or whatever the hell you want to call them, and you get staff approval, your review or your preview or your editorial can go on the front page.
I just want to say that I'm not a part of these people. They're just dumb enough to let me in their chat room and on their chat. And 9/11 was an inside job. Praise Lucifer.
All right, that was at JonTron, by the way. But no, let's go to another subject. By the way, did we all see that ISIS GTA 5 trailer? How ISIS is trying to use GTA 5 to basically promote their terrorist organization?
It was a little nuts that all of the sites retweeted that and shit.
What was that, Ranix?
Kotaku and like Polygon. Was it Polygon that did an article on it and was like spamming it all over the place?
Well, yeah. Are you suggesting polygons with ISIS?
Well, I mean,
I'd believe it.
I don't think they're with ISIS, but I do think they're incredibly stupid.
This is true.
I mean, for spreading propaganda.
Well, they said we're with ISIS, so maybe they're saying GTA 5 is what trained me to make explosives to bomb their buildings, when really that wasn't the case. I learned everything I need to learn before ISIS was formed.
That's true. What do you guys
friendly
think of this,
reminder, just a friendly reminder. We, as Gamergate supporters, are worse than ISIS.
It's true.
And the KKK and Hitler.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, Hitler did nothing wrong, right?
Personally, I have yet to behead anybody. I don't even have any plans currently to behead anyone.
What the fuck are you doing?
Those tweets, every time you tweet Gamergate, you might as well be.
Oh, alright.
Just, I mean, check your privilege, really. That's what it boils down to.
I beheaded 4 people today just because of traffic. What the fuck are you doing? You're not playing the right games.
Alright, enough shit posting. What do you guys think about ISIS using, GTA 5 to basically promote, their terrorist organization? I mean, is this just another mod? What if it came to Steam? Should it come to Steam? What? Let me hear you.
I have to ask you, what do you think of games like America's Army coming out, being produced and sponsored by America's Army? It's the same
game was
goddamn
fucking
shit.
great.
Yeah, people loved America's Army. Why don't you tell us about it, Ranix? You might be the only one who played it. I played a little bit of it.
So you would have different jobs, and you had to get credentials to be able to pick like certain weapons and do certain things in the game. And for example, if you wanted to be a sniper, you had to. I mean, it was really hard. You had to do the like a simulation of an actual test that you would have to take to be a sniper with like a shitty gun with no scope and hit targets that are 300, 400 yards away. It was pretty cool.
So you had to be a no-scoper to get anywhere.
We had to start out at it. They made you do like tests, and in order to use, I think it was grenades, you had to throw a few grenades in the right way. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was a very it was interesting to say the least. This was, I believe, it was a completely free game, wasn't it? Back before this whole free-to-play craze.
Of course.
Not free-to-play with an inline shop. There was no shop at all. It was really free to play.
Yeah, it was a free shooter. It was put out by the Army. And
I don't know if you guys remember, but there is also another kind of game for Army to recruit new members. I think it was Danish or Swedish Army. They put a flash game, a 4-player flash game where you have to coordinate with 3 other players. I don't know if you guys played it. It was a bit big on 4chan with people trying to beat the score. It just tells you that the budget allocated to this is quite different, since that Northern European nation does a shitty flash game, and the US Army does a fucking FPS game.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, though, that America's Army was really tame. It was a very mature military shooter when you compare it to games like Medal of Honor and Call of Duty and all this other shit. You had to go through basic training and you had to get certified in different areas. The gameplay, I know there's a lot of, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ranix, but a lot of like neutralizing, I think even non-lethal, you had to like arrest people or something, or am I going crazy?
I don't remember any non-lethal scenarios. I really didn't play it for all that long.
It was basically part of this whole experiment to try to get people really acclimated to trying to get to the Army life. You'll see this in movies a lot. Just look at the Transformers movies. How there seem to be less and less robots, more and more America's Army. Fuck yeah! and that's fine. Honestly, that's fine. If they feel like my tax dollars should go to that, that's cool. At least that's entertaining. That's entertaining more than sending people over to like die in a country that I could give two shits about. You know what I mean?
Oh Lord.
But
yeah.
But I'm sorry to piss off those countries I give two shits about. But it comes down to a point where, yeah, okay, so ISIS is using a mod of GTA 5 to try to train their troops. America's been doing that shit forever. You know what? I played flight simulators as a kid. I played a flight simulator in a MiG. So am I now a Russian jet fighter pilot?
Yeah,
Are you?
You are definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm actually hardcore communist. But either way, you're all bourgeois pig dogs that will die underneath the boot of risen Lenin. Anyway,
Oy vey.
Well, let's say GTA 5 on Steam on PC, the mod workshop, whatever the hell you want to call it. What if ISIS wants to put it out on Steam? Should Steam give it the go-ahead? Should it be allowed or what?
absolutely.
So you support ISIS is what you're telling me.
As a Gamergate supporter, I support ISIS and Hitler and everything. No,
I would say
that speaks to freedom of speech. Like, just
yeah,
let
exactly.
them do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing inherently wrong with that. And if they want to push it as their training scenario, well, I feel sorry for them, because the training scenario of actual fucking armies are a little bit more intense than GTA. But then again, they're looking to just throw bodies with bombs at things, so who the fuck knows?
You know
That's
what? There is one thing that you should take into account, is that intelligence from European and Northern American countries did some studies about who was a typical jihadist that was recruited in France or USA or whatever, and turns out it's not exactly, the fanatics that is described. Usually it's just a caricature. It's a middle to upper class guy who with some degree of education, who basically has nothing in life. I mean, he's just a random guy from middle class guy, and he does that not because he's a fanatic. He becomes a fanatic, but he's just bored with life. I mean, and that's what they found out. They didn't find that these guys were brainwashed from birth. They were brainwashed because they got burnt out with the capitalism system, I would say, the modern Western society. So this is why in terms of threat wise, they shouldn't put it on Steam, because it will work and it will probably recruit people. But on the other way, since in America's Army, an example, the enemies are always Muslims, why not play the opposite? I mean, in the end, most of the people will rationalize it and consider, yeah, it's just a game. I mean, you are a player with objectives. Most of the people, I said. That's the important word. I didn't say everyone. Of course, some will go batshit insane and join ISIS, and I hope they just fucking kill themselves, because
Allah Akbar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Allah Snackbar. So yeah, that's the point. The point is, yeah, it could be dangerous for a bunch of people, but these people will be tracked down by intelligence anyway. So I think it's not gonna be a propaganda tool as big as it might seem, but it will work on a few people. The big problem is that it will be like, oh, gamers are now all Muslims, extremists, jihadists, whatever, and it will be like 10 people doing it. But of course, every gamer will suffer from it with a bad reputation.
I think
No,
that
Go
we
on,
already
Ranix.
have a large enough problem with social justice warriors and cultural Marxists in the United States, at least already, probably in Europe too. I would not want to see any condoning of the Islamic State or ISIS or anybody who supports Sharia law at all. We already have a huge problem with people who can't separate their fantasies from realities, and I don't think that we need to condone any of that to any level.
Yeah. Thanks for joining, by the way, Crowbar
No
Commander.
problem.
Did you want to say something? You too, Ranix, obviously.
Oh,
Oh,
he's gone.
All right. Well, anyway, all right. Well, here's the next question. Then, do you think Steam would do something like that? Because to me, it sounds like it would just be the stupidest move ever for just one mod potentially
I would
get a
say
complete shitstorm on
Steam
their hands.
is an American company, so they have to abide American law, if the term abide is the correct term, since I'm not English.
It's good enough.
Yeah, okay, so they have to comply with American law. So if American intelligence says you have to get rid of that game because it's a threat to our security, I mean, they have to do it. They don't have a choice whether they like it or not. But once again, what goes on internet stays on internet. So you will probably find the game on like Pirate Bay or whatever.
Sending
No,
alert,
not
alert,
the
What's
other
alert.
up?
one.
This is
What do you need,
Roguestar.
Roguestar?
Hey, I
what's-
got some breaking news right now that
Oh, boy.
Arif, you'll love this one, Arif.
Yeah.
Apparently, this is still being verified, but I verified it myself through a diff. Apparently, Depression Quest, the source code, is plagiarized.
Oh, really? Yo, you got any proof of this?
Yeah, I'll send you a link. This infographic
Can you put it in
is
our chat
inviting.
as well?
Yeah, paste it
Thanks
right in
for
the
coming
chat.
back. and
Yeah, hold
spreading the
on.
news, by the way.
Now, wait. There's a difference between plagiarism and free open software and just grabbing that shit. So, can we be sure about the software license?
It's a matter of plagiarism, as in Arif knows this. Basically, cutting and pasting code from one project to the other.
Yeah.
So, Silver String Media game that basically was plagiarized for Depression Quest and was not cited. And they used an open source engine, its code, and they didn't cite it. So to me, it's plagiarism.
It looks like it. Yep. It
Yeah,
does
just
look
diff
like
it.
it. I
If
mean,
you get the code, diff it. I ran the diff too. It's like, whoa.
Is it bait? People are saying it's bait. I don't know. I retweeted it, so I probably shouldn't.
So I see there's a diff here. There's the left side and the right side. The left side and the right side seem to be identical, except for the IE doc type nonsense for IE9 and IE8 up at the top, which is probably not necessary anymore.
All right,
I
Cobra
don't
or
see anything
Draconian, do
crazy
you guys
here.
wanna come into this mumble and tell us why it's bait? I'm not even sure what the fuck's going on. So
I like the ILMAO at the bottom there, though. That's great. We need more of that.
I'll be right back.
it could be. I don't know. We'll think about it. Here's what I'm interested in. Was that I forget which stream it was. I think it was Kotaku in Action. They were saying something about one company actually made it mandatory to donate to the Sarkeesian whatever the fuck feminist frequency. Was that true or no?
Who you asking?
Anybody?
I'm just looking at the GIF, the picture. Sorry.
It's kind of sad. But it's now
funny
confirmed.
because I know Twine, not because I played with it, but it's good for writing scenarios, point and click games, or any kind of game like Depression Quest. I would say it's good to pitch scenarios. So yeah, I've played with Twine a bit, but if it's proven, yeah, it's definitely what you could call steal, since you have to leave the copyright and all that stuff.
Yeah, this image is bullshit. It's not stolen at all. The BSD license allows this as long as you retain the copyright notices.
All right.
Oh, really?
Well,
Yep.
thanks, game. Thanks, Roguestar.
Honestly, when it comes to my opinion on this, anything that has to do with that girl or her group, is just long since over and dead. The only thing we have to actually worry about are the connections that happened, the actual money that flowed, and honestly, just follow the money. Like you gotta stop.
Okay, false alarm. Disregard.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now
See you guys later.
delete the tweet.
Hey, Rockstar,
Thanks,
before you go,
what's up,
be
dude?
careful. Be careful raising the alarm on things like this, especially with regards to literally who, because if people catch wind that people are still targeting her and trying to make her life difficult at all, it can really negatively affect the rest of Gamergate. At this point, we need to really focus on the journalists and like Ben Kuchera and the Game Journal Pros list, and make some changes in the actual organizations. Literally who is not important anymore.
Not worth it.
She's
Yeah,
being-
she's
yeah.
not
Alright.
relevant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ranix is correct.
All right. Well, red herrings aside, I'll say this to chat again. If you guys get up to 50 plus users, I still have a copy of Final Fantasy IV, the DS port to Steam. I have it on Steam. I made a new account and I bought it to give away as a gift. I still have an extra copy. So if you guys can get up to 50 users, I will make some sort of contest that will involve emailing me. And I'll
In any
touch
case,
base with you.
if you wanna really get that copy first, you can still go to our last podcast from last week and find out what
Nah,
was the.
actually, someone claimed that.
Oh,
So-
okay.
I only got 2 emails, but one of them got it right. So, but I still have an extra copy. But if you guys
At this
get
point,
up
it
to
looks
50
like
users-
somebody's trying to disseminate intentionally misleading information like this. I think somebody's sending
Possibly.
you garbage.
Probably. But fortunately for us, nobody gives a shit about our stream or our site, so we have that advantage going for us. But no, let's change topics then. What about the? Actually, we can keep talking about Gamergate if you guys want.
Whatever you like.
That's fine. Honestly, I think this is a perfect example. We gotta really be able to not knee-jerk these type of things, and we're walking a delicate fine line between what is actually genuine concern and care versus what's a shill, what's a concern troll, and things like that. And I think what we got to do is really let people know to be open to even things that might be trolls, so they can learn to recognize these things. And we got to try to get people to take emotion out of the argument when they make the argument, because there's a lot of hurt feelings on a lot of sides. I've seen on Twitter a lot of this blasting back and forth, and the only way we're going to really actually pull through on a lot of this is if we pull out that emotional element and just keep hitting with facts and hitting with just basically hard evidence. And they tried to wipe away that evidence, as Roguestar said earlier. They tried to do that, and I think that's just a good way of seeing that we're actually hitting them pretty fucking hard, and we are winning this thing. But we've got to keep the fight, because one thing I want to say is that there's not going to be a victory day. There's not going to be a grand day where, oh my god, it's all over, everything's just hunky-dory. No, it's going to be a long, slow fight. People are going to lose jobs. Sites are going to have to close down. They might just change forms. Things like that. Where it's going to be a long... we're like 6 weeks into this?
Yeah.
It's going to be a long, slow process where we have to just grab every ground we can and hold on and hold on and hold on until they give away a little bit more, and just grab. The one good thing about them continually shifting the goalposts is that every time they've done that, they've let us push in more. And if every time they've let us push in more, they've let us investigate more. And every time they let us investigate more, we've uncovered more. And every time we do that, they have less and less to deal with. And the Internet Aristocrat said this on one of his streams, because they set the narrative of them as the strong, virtuous heroes, because we keep showing how they keep fucking up, they're looking worse and worse and worse than any of our trolls can actually ever fucking do. You know, any bad press against us is like, oh well, those fucking Gamergates. But when they fuck up, it's like, well, you know, you're supposed to be the paragon of justice. I hate.
You're the authority figure, essentially,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I hate to put this, U.S. versus terrorists, but terrorists blows themselves up, blows up a lot of people. Those terrorists, ha ha ha. United States goes ahead and holds people against their will domestically and waterboards them. It's like, well, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? It's that type of parallel is what's happening. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of silly.
That's a pretty apt comparison.
It's all Twitter and shit, but, that's exactly how the feelings, the emotion of this is going back and forth. And the only way Gamergate is actually going to pull out on this is just to keep pushing and keep starving them. Alternative sites like the one you guys are running and are pushing up, and things that are popping up all over the place, the YouTube articles and things like that have been around for a while. More people are leaping towards that. Again, Polygon is begging for money now. That's a win.
Yeah, but I can't necessarily blame them. I'm sure they were thinking about doing this whole subscription thing. I mean, look at Giant Bomb. They started doing this gold account or whatever the fuck, and that was a while ago. At the end of the day, you always hear about these California reporters, journalists, or whatever the fuck you want, bloggers. They're bloggers. Struggling to pay rent and all this shit. They don't get a lot of money. Do you think the ways that these sites just generate revenue are just fucked unless you're a big site like IGN?
Yeah. Kind of. But honestly, when it comes down to that, I have to think, cry me a fucking river. There are people out there who learned how to make the money on the internet. Look at someone at PewDiePie. Yeah, you might not want to do the same shit that he's doing. That dude is making millions of dollars a year by just making silly sounds and acting like he's super fucking scared. Well, I don't know. Maybe he's really scared of horror games. But, he's doing that. He's making tons of money. And these other ones are trying to do their clickbait on this entirely bankrupt concept that they've tried to push through the... if it sounds like I'm yelling, I'm sorry, but I have, four different types of headphones on my head. This bankrupt concept, and it's been working for a while, and it's pushed a lot of people to the top. That's actually why you have Patreons and Kickstarters and things like that, is because, yeah, like you said, there's really not a whole lot of money to be found, but the way they're going about it is very bankrupt, very, very, very dishonest, and just very... I don't know how else to say it, honestly.
I have a little bit of a different opinion on that. I honestly don't think that they're doing this for money, and I don't think they're really doing it for power either. I think they're really printing stuff that they honestly believe. And I mean, I know some of these people. I'm in the Silicon Valley area, and you go to parties and stuff around here. You meet them occasionally. It's interesting to see how they interact with one another. They're all friends. They're all really tight. They very strongly subscribe to the social justice warrior mentality, to the point where it's inconceivable to question their friends. It's something that they can't do, that they won't do. It's like that is itself losing a battle of some sort. It's very strange, very weird.
Cult programming.
It's not cult programming. The best word to describe it that I've heard is the hug box. They very much have their own little cliques, and in their cliques is their hug box, and they're very open with one another sexually. You'll see a lot of these people having open relationships with each other, polyamorous relationships. They're a big family. They're a big extended family, and they don't understand the difference between their family members and their colleagues. There's no professional boundary with these people.
Yeah, and it's hard with mediums like Twitter and Facebook. I mean, that in itself, there's no line between professional and personal. You are I am ShillPhish, and if I use my real name, I would be myself as well, in addition to representing my site. So there's that too.
Yeah, the internet's kind of made a weird dynamic between professional and non-professional, and real life versus internet, and that keeps bleeding and blurring. I just want to say one thing. There's been all this cries of doxing and stuff. 2 years ago, I started a shitty little stream, and I got over 50 viewers like one night, one magical fucking night that's almost never been repeated. And I got doxed. I got doxed by people who had been viewing me for several weeks before then. Did I freak out about that? Only when they started naming people that I knew, and I told them, hey, stop. Now, I realize there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, they don't stop, or all this shit, but I have to come to think, and I've been called, like, all kinds of fucking things. And I have to wonder, like, how thick is my skin compared to the rest of these, and really, do they not expect that? But then I come around terms of damseling for dollars, and I realize, well, okay, now this makes sense. I forgot where I was going with this, but
I would say, always wear a mask. To protect the people you care about.
I mean, people need to remember, this is the fucking internet. I mean, we have, just because all these big companies are using to make money, and social media, MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, oh my god, I bought this dress, where the fuck? People are getting real friendly. You need to remember how the fuck the internet started, and it started with retarded nicknames like Death Knight and fucking Ghost Killer and shit like that. It wasn't fucking
Death XX.
Ever find your old forum posts?
Well, I have an interest.
I am so glad we didn't have that shit. I'm so glad we did not have Twitter when I was a teenager. I swear to God.
Yeah,
it would have been absolutely horrible. I would never live that shit down.
And we would all be Jaden Smiths. He is the best philosopher of our time, honestly. If we could just breathe out more than we breathe in, we would feed the plants, and there would be no world hunger. He's on point. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, and to bring it back, I'm going to show, but that's why one of the core concepts of the site we're starting up, sellsire.com, is you can post anonymously. You can present articles anonymously, and we aren't going to fucking ask for your personal information. You come use it how you want to. If you want to be a lurker, that's fine. If you want to use your real name, be careful, obviously. Go on with what you're saying.
What the fuck was that?
I don't know. It was probably like a fucking howler
Satan?
monkey or something.
Lucifer, are you here?
It was Ebola-chan. It was Ebola-chan.
That was my phone.
Thank you, Ebola-chan.
My notification is the Quake announcer saying excellent.
And yeah, people are definitely. I mean, look, I don't think I'm not gonna be like, oh, calling people names is cool. I mean, I think it's fucking hilarious, and I call people names and shit. But people are definitely getting way too hurt about this online. I mean, this is the internet. People can't just go online and call people a shithead, and they're gonna do that. I mean, one of my earliest gaming memories is I used to play the original Star Siege Tribes or whatever when I was in 6th grade, and I went on, and there was this global chat that you could join. I remember joining, and there was this guy called Hell Knight, and I was talking to him, but because I was a little kid, I wasn't allowed to swear or anything.
This is about to get dirty, isn't it?
I wasn't allowed to swear, so I called him Heck Knight instead of Hell Knight, and he got on my case. He's like, "Dude, my name's Hell Knight, you fucking piece of shit," and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm sorry, Heck Knight." But I mean, it's the fucking internet. People insult each other, and nobody likes to be called a name, but it's the fucking internet. Wear a helmet.
Look at the people who are pro Gamergate. Look at everybody in this mumble right now. We've got RF, BinaryGhost, Ranix, Scanner, Shill. I don't see Sam. I don't see Jeff. I don't see Joe. When you look at Total Biscuit Biscuit's not posting shit under his real name. He's the cynical Brit. Boogie2988. He's Boogie2988, or he's Francis. He's not who he really is in real life on the internet.
I love Francis. Just
when people call him names, when people say he's fat and shit, they're not talking to the real him. They're talking to Francis. They're talking to his YouTube personality. And then you've got these assholes, this Ben Kucheras coming down and being themselves, and they're the ones actually getting insulted. I think that's the big difference between these two groups of people.
Maybe it has to do with when people started getting into the internet. I actually had this kind of thought back a couple years ago on 4chan. I used to be a heavy user. I've been on 4chan since like 2004. Let me just disclose that.
Yeah, a lot of us are channers, but go on.
Yeah.
Are we all old fags in here? Everybody?
2005. So yeah.
One day I decided to pick up a
2014.
trip.
Go on.
One day I decided to pick up a trip. Just arbitrarily. I was like, well, you know what? It's really kind of hard to find out who's replying to me on these posts, and people keep trying to claim same fagging and shit. So, fuck it. I'll pick up a trip. Picked up a trip. People responded negatively to the trip almost consistently. And I realized it was basically almost always essentially what you call summer fags or new fags. And I realized something. It had to do with when they grew up on the internet or how they were introduced to the internet. Because for me, I was on the internet back when you had to have some sort of handle, some sort of tag that you used in emails, in forum identities, all this shit. Now, 4chan's thing was, well, you could post anonymously, so there won't be anybody like trying to suck a mod's dick or trying to suck some other dude's dick just because they have more posts. You know what I mean? But the idea of that anonymous thing, I can't say anonymity for some reason. My mouth just won't.
Nobody can.
That same reasoning was, well, I was always anonymous on the internet. Always. It doesn't matter what handle I was hiding behind. I'm always fucking anonymous. My information on forums is fake. My information on emails is fucking fake. The emails that I use to sign up for the forums is fucking fake. Like, I was always anonymous on the internet. So I did this little thing on 4chan, and I realized that no matter what I said, they're responding negatively to Trip, and I realized it's because they grew up on an internet that wanted people and fed off of people putting their actual identities in. Your YouTubes, your Facebooks, your MySpaces, your Twitters, things to push you in and maybe get your little 15 minutes of internet fame. And I realized the backlash of that was due to these same groups of people who grew up on MySpace, Facebook, YouTube, and things like that.
They're sick of it. They're sick of the bullshit.
Yeah, that same group that wanted to be anonymous, and when they saw someone who just wanted to have like a little bit of a name, they reacted against that. Now, obviously, I'm being a huge faggot, and I don't mean that in a derogatory like against gays. I mean that in a way like a middle schooler calls another middle schooler that's been caught sucking dicks, and he's also a guy. But either way, that sort of attack, and it made me realize that you're dealing with a huge generation, and God, I feel so old having to say this shit, but you're dealing with a huge generation of people who have not had the anonymous experience, and they're trying to have it, and when they try to have it, it kind of fails, because what's happened? 4chan has bled off into Facebook. 4chan, everyone knows who the hacker known as 4chan, blowing up yellow vans, hackers on steroids, shit like that. Of course, 4chan is kill now, so now we have 8chan, so maybe that'll become the new thing. But, these little anonymous spaces that these people are trying to have are disappearing on the internet, and you're seeing, at first I was seeing a generation that wanted to have that, and now I'm seeing an entirely new sect that is taking over, and that is saying, well, you know what? Screw that. let's just all know who each other are, and then we'll all try to be friends no matter our differences. But you can't do that because people are assholes. And they're running into the same shit that's happening in real life. And they're fucking losing their minds.
Yeah, I don't know. It's bullshit. There's so much joy, like back in the old EverQuest 1 days of logging in, being a Lauren if you were me, and being this magician. It was a game that I had a lot of fun playing. I had my own group of friends within the game. It was just awesome that I had these friends, and I had this very, very distinct relationship with these friends. It's like these were friends that I knew in the game. I mean, yeah, I might have had real life friends who joined with me or whatever, but for the most part, these other online handles, I didn't know who they were in real life. They didn't know me who I was in real life. We'd occasionally socialize because it's an MMO, but I was free to just walk away from it and go wherever I wanted, and it was great. Am I the only one or no?
I never consumed MMOs. Well, no, that's untrue. I consumed MMOs very late in the game. I played some Star Trek Online and got fucking bored with it. But no, I remember a time where on the internet that the only people who may have known even your first name were people that you knew in real life, or maybe the pedophile that you've grown to trust, because everyone was 13 on the internet at the time. So I don't know. Like I come back to it, and then I see just how, and all these people complaining about being doxxed on these things. And I'm like, what
and
the
these
fuck
doxings are fucking bullshit. These aren't
What?
doxings.
Yeah,
a doxing,
they're going to your
doxing has your
Facebook
credit
page.
card number. A doxing has your home address, your mother's maiden name, the school that you went to, your fucking Comcast account number.
Yeah, 4chan tier stuff.
These are, when you dox somebody, you're saying that you want somebody to physically harm them. You're saying, I hope that a hacker turns off your fucking your electricity and your power and your gas in the middle of January. That's what a dox is. A dox isn't, oh, I know your name and roughly what city you live in. That's fucking stupid, and it's diluting the term.
Agreed. Thank you for speaking up like that. I tell you're a little passionate there, but no,
Just a
you're
little
right.
bit.
But what about like phone number? Where's that rest on the?
What are you gonna do with a phone number? I got a cell phone. I could throw it out and get another one tomorrow if I want. It's not like a landline.
You can block incoming calls that you don't want.
Yeah, but if you get flooded with numbers and shit.
Nah, it's not gonna happen. I mean, basically, I mean,
They get your Google Voice, right?
Today's docs is just basically doing a whois on domain name you own, and if you're stupid enough to not put it on anonymous,
Like a PO box.
yeah, you're gonna get fucked. Well, that's what fucked Zoe Quinn. But this is
among
not
other
considered.
among other things.
Yeah, among other things, of course. Yeah, she
What
fucked
are
a
the
lot of
7
things,
things?
right?
Go on, I had to make that joke.
Yeah, the thing is, yeah, I mean, if you do secure yourself, you can be really, well, more or less anonymous to any other user on the internet. Except the thing is, as you guys said, these guys were born or started using internet in Facebook time. Facebook explicitly said they want to end anonymity on internet. So, I mean,
That's
in
fucked
the
up.
end, yeah, in the end, you get fucked by the same company you trust because you don't read the terms of service. You just click OK because everybody's using it, so you have to use it, apparently.
Yeah, that's how it works. I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna stand by Twitter and be like, you know what, this 180 character, I think this is the way to communicate.
Why are you running from the zombie anyway? Can you just turn down and put that pickaxe on him? What are you doing?
It's kind of bro. He's just, playing games and being bad at them.
The fuck is going on?
Yeah, do that. Hit him with that. Yeah.
The hell am I watching?
You're bleeding. No.
Oh,
You're
shit.
dead.
Oh, hey,
You got him right
Crowbar,
in the
are you here
head.
now?
This is bullshit.
No, we are watching the stream actually. It's Scanner streaming Daisy.
Yeah, this is a stream for DayZ, not whatever the fuck we're talking about.
Oh, all right.
But how's it going, Crowbar? I heard you speak up. Are you here now, or?
Yeah, it's just microphone issues here. I'm in a very interesting situation here because if you know just even a little bit about me, you can find my entire address online because I have a radio lens, which means that all of that is in a database somewhere, and you can look it up. So, you know, it being doxed takes on a whole new meaning where you just type in something, and there it is.
Yeah.
I'm lucky that there's at least 2 of me.
Yeah,
but
there's
I mean-
other Ranixes out there. Ranix is
Well,
like a
have you
popular horse
encountered
steroid or something.
Have you ran into that, Crowbar?
No, well, the only thing I ran into that is when I took my test for my license, the first thing that happened was, hey, here's all these catalogs suddenly in my mail for radio equipment. But, yeah, that happened. But as far as...
We're all on those databases.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like an actual federal database. It's a .gov address. You can just look me up right there.
Yeah, every time I get a ticket, I get like 5 different fucking mailing things about traffic school.
This is for your call sign because you're a ham.
Yeah, I'm a ham.
Could you repeat that?
Here.
Yeah, so the database is it's if you search for your call sign, you get your info because you're a ham.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's
the
pretty
call sign's
normal.
on the ass end of of my vehicle because it's on the light plate. I mean, when I want to get the vehicle registered in my name, do you want a ham plate? Why not? I mean, I'm qualified for one. I'll pay the extra $1.
Yeah.
I would totally love a plate of ham. That sounds great.
Oh my god. Yeah, someone send a plate of ham to me. Real
I mean,
ham.
I really don't understand what the whole conversation is about. Some about ham is like puts you on a database, and then another group is talking about soggy knees. I don't
that's
understand this whole thing.
And the thing about these docs is whether they're really vicious or, you know, kind of like what Ranix was saying, not really that bad, is, you know, at the end of the day, all it takes is one asshole. You know, all it takes is one person to reveal it, right?
The thing is, they put the whole group of people, which can be quite big in the case of Gamergate. Just because of one guy, the whole movement is tainted. I don't buy that. I mean, sure, I'd like to get doxxed once just to see how it feels. I mean, well, I have been more or
But you
less
don't want to say
doxxed.
that. I've seen some shit. The worst one that I've seen out of Gamergate so far was the GG Plus girl. I think it was. Somebody got her what do you call it? Her faculty ID for the university she works at, and sent her a legit actionable threat via email. Like I'm gonna stick a knife in your cunt or something and twist it. It was really like this was the first real. I mean, besides the syringe that got mailed to Milo.
To her faculty email?
Yeah, to her faculty email said, I know who you are. You are this person. You are this professor. I go to one of your classes, and I'm going to stab you. It was fucking severe. I can post a link to it in the chat. She posted it up on
And we're the bad guys.
Well, I'm sure this happens on both sides, but I mean, Brad Wardell of Stardock, I believe he's the CEO. I mean, he was saying that, you know, he gets life threats all the time because of that shit that Kotaku ran against him and everything. The whole rape allegations. I made a
Just
post
remember,
on his
exploding vans.
I made a post on his forum, so hopefully he saw it and hopefully helped him out. But
Yo,
yeah, it's fucked up.
Hold on a second. Crowbar.
Here's a link.
You're
I posted it in the chat.
You're a ham radio operator and you never once helped me with my mic issues in my stream? What the fuck, man?
But what's really interesting is that way back when, I used to help do B radio, and I got to see when the whole yellow van with the Fox News thing, I got to see 4chan evolve into the mainstream and shit like that, and it's really interesting how the internet was then and how it was now, and the idea of everything is connected. It's really scary, especially when information's out there.
Looking at this link that someone put in the chat here.
That was me.
Yeah.
That's the link I was talking about.
I don't know, man. It's
Let me
like
see
I
this
said,
thing.
it's fucking more, dude.
Now keep in mind that she is pro Gamergate. This was sent by an SJW.
Well, I mean, they aren't kidding when they say die cis scum.
They're not fucking around.
Let me tell you, if you are cis scum, you're gonna fucking die. I mean, it's fucked up. But reminder again to everyone, I mean, if you guys get us up to 50-ish viewers, I've got Final Fantasy 4 on
We're
Steam.
at 45 right now.
I know. This is good for spellsfire.com. I mean, we aren't as lucky as other people where Adam Baldwin, all these people are just like, hey, I want to talk on your stream. I mean, I saw that, I was like, what the fuck? How come we can't get this shit?
Don't be jelly.
I'm eternally jelly. But no, also I'll put the link to our YouTube channel, so if you guys want to watch some of our previous shit that we did.
One thing about the whole doxing and these threats and stuff, I'm honestly waiting, because they call us a huge conservative movement and stuff. I'm waiting for the stupid ass to actually show up on the front door of maybe one of the crazier conservative Gamergate people. I'm waiting for that idiot to show up on that front door and try to do something and just get fucking blasted away. I'm waiting for that shit, because it's going to look bad on so many levels. And when it comes to the doxing and all that shit, I'm really not that concerned. I mean, I've already put myself out publicly in some shitty, stupid little ways, but I know a lot of people are really scared of these threats, but I honestly would not be. And here's one thing that people probably need to consider. A lot of the doxing and threats are actually probably coming over state lines. There's that one instance of the person saying, I'm in your class, blah, 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 but there's no guarantee that that was an actual person in that class. So a lot of this stuff is actually happening over internet lines and likely over state lines, and all of that is federal offenses. And I keep trying to tell people on Twitter, hey, look, you're getting doxed. These people are sending these things to you. Tell the FBI, because the FBI is very interested in this type of shit. In fact, they love this type of shit. The FBI loves to throw nerds in jail where they can actually experience real rape culture.
Christ. Well, I mean, hey, Anita had to flee her home, right? Us gamers went after her.
Yeah, I like how she said that when she was going to PAX. That was cool.
Well, yeah. She's fleeing to PAX.
Fleeing to PAX.
She'd be safe.
I had to flee my home to this hotel and come here and talk to you about this stuff.
They
Listen
had
and believe!
The diversity schedule. I mean, who else is going to protect her?
Not that a threat against Anita would not be a big deal. It would be a big deal. And I think that if Anita is getting threats, I mean, I'm not necessarily questioning that she's getting some form of harassment at this point. This is pretty crazy. But I haven't really seen much out of Anita in that vein. And we, at this point, for all these people listening, we do have reason to believe that that these people would lie about these things at this point. So.
Yeah. But here's my really big issue with that whole ordeal. And it doesn't even stretch back to, that someone made these posts on her account. I mean, Anita herself, posted these screenshots of this particular user, right? The one the one that's like, oh, I want to love you and your parents want to rape you or whatever.
That guy, that fake account.
Yeah. Here's the thing, all these sites were picking this up and running with it, and it's like, this gamer's making this threat, gamers are threatening Anita, she had to flee. Here's the fucking thing, there's nothing in his post to suggest that he's a gamer. He could have been a fucking tennis player. He could have been a fucking NFL All-Star, for all we fucking know.
Guys,
there's nothing suggesting that he was a gamer.
Remember when we were harmless fucking nerds that couldn't do shit about anybody or anything?
No. I always remember that we were some kinds of evil murderers in training, or back in the days when gamers played D&D, Satanists.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Well, yeah. I mean, praise Lord Satan. He brings the light. But
if I roll my D20 off, Satan will come up and murder everybody. Just that magic fucking cube.
We miss Satanism. That's how bad it's gotten. We
Oh,
miss those
man.
days.
Because
Go on,
Satanism
though.
is awesome. Did you see that shit where they did the Black Mass in a church and everybody was protesting? There was fucking 44 Satanists and there was over 1,300 Christians showed up to picket them.
I do wonder if those were actually Luciferians or if those were the LaVey Satanists. The LaVey Satanists are actually an atheist movement who take up the mantle of Satanists just to try to basically spook out the Christians. It was something
they're
made,
trolls.
Essentially, it's just a big troll church.
I think that it
Giant
was
troll
the troll
church.
one because they had a heavy metal band playing in the Black Mass.
Well, you never know with heavy metal. Or the Rolling Stones.
So let's see here. If D&D makes you worship Satan and rock and roll is the devil's music, I think we can make the cultural Satan cocktail here. Just add in all the things that lead you to the path of the devil.
Wait, I'm sorry. The blues is the devil's music.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, well, you sell your soul on the crossroads for blues fame. That's how you do it. I think
the devil's
That's how
music
the Blues
was
Brothers
smooth
2000s
jazz.
got funded.
No, blues.
Huh.
It's all depressing shit. Of course it's blues. It makes people want to kill themselves.
If you say
It's
so.
true. Blues Brothers.
I believe.
Didn't they team
completely.
up with the Didn't the Blues Brothers team up with the Muppets or something? Or am I,
That's the
talking
catchphrase,
hot?
right? We're
The
on a mission
Muppets-
from Satan.
The Muppets were created by Jim Henson during a massive dark ceremony.
Are you about to red pill us on the Muppets?
Oh, we just hit 51 with our verbal shit posting.
If you guys like the Muppets, you should watch The Feebles from Peter Jackson. It's a really awesome movie, and you can find it on YouTube, I think.
Too Christian for me.
No, really, The Feebles is like a trash version of the Muppet Show. It's amazing. It's really good.
Peter
I'm
Jackson
gonna-
did a
I'm
lot
gonna
of
link
weird,
you
wacky
a
shit
part
before
of it.
Lord of the Rings.
Keep talking. I gotta find trivia here because we hit 50 users, and I'm a man of my word here.
Any viewers have anything they want to talk about? Any questions? Any topics?
Yeah, the great thing about small user base is, we can see you guys' fucking questions and shit, so we can talk.
Hey, I heard something about prizes. If we get 50 viewers, there's 51.
There's gonna be prizes. Though, I mean, I don't know. I might have to exclude you guys here for being part of the stream. You get to hear it first.
Well, just as I say
Oh,
it,
come
it's
on.
now
What about our
54.
secret email group? Come on.
That's true. Pro spellflingers, journos, or whatever the fuck. That shit was so fucked up. Because I looked through that list. Here's what really pissed me off. Like, people can say all they want about, oh, well, they're journalists. They're going to talk to each other. And I get that. But there are actual members of PR from game development groups.
Dude, does
that are in the
Coca-Cola
fucking
and
email.
Pepsi have a secret email group where they talk about shit? I mean, Coca and Pepsi are competitors. These guys are competing for clicks.
For
Because
viewers.
that's it.
It's really not surprising. I mean, the PR game with games journalism has been rampant for a long time. I mean, consider something like Nintendo Magazine. Was there anyone who actually thought Nintendo Magazine was giving any Nintendo product the same shakedown as any non-Nintendo product?
That was a really good publication.
No.
I fucking love that magazine.
Yeah,
that magazine was way better than most of what we have now. I haven't seen anything like that, man, for a really long time. EGM was alright. I used to love EGM.
Yeah, but we can all agree that if anything that was coming out, at least first party for Nintendo, they would have fucking blew it all day long.
But they didn't make bad games back then. I mean, were there any first party games that were bad?
That's not an excuse, though.
What do you mean it's not an excuse? There was literally no way that there could have been a.
What I'm getting at is this: that same in-bed attitude has not stopped once the magazines went into third party. When people started making third party organizations, it has still been that sort of issue. And on the internet thing was supposed to be, well, we have all this fucked up shit in the normal physical media realms. let's try to do this right on this new platform. And it worked for a time, but it really doesn't work anymore because the way we've monetized the internet. Clickbait works because of the way we've monetized the internet as a society. This is why you don't have pyramid schemes anymore. You have crowdsourcing schemes where you have billions of people, well, not billions, but tons of people at the very bottom who are receiving nothing, who are holding up just a very select few, who are all more or less equal. If there's someone further at the top, then maybe you could say they're on the stage, just to stretch this whole concert metaphor even more. But getting right down to it, what the fuck was I saying? I need to stop drinking so much wine. Anyway,
keep going.
The corruption has always been there, and it's hard to think that. Honestly, if anyone was truly surprised that on this list were also all these different game companies and PR firms and stuff, then I have to say that maybe you're a little too naive with the way the world works. These people
Can I interrupt for a second? I'm gonna give out the prize here. All right, so here's the question. At the end of the Super Mario Brothers movie, in the post-credits scene, there's 2 developers that are speaking about a mock game that's to be released. Send me the name of this mock game to ShillPhish@gmail.com, and I will give you a copy of Final Fantasy IV on Steam. Compliments of spellsfire.com for being so awesome. Make sure
Clearly,
that
this is so you can record everybody's email address that sends it to you.
Yeah. I'm gonna sell
He's
you
a
the
honey
data
pot,
later.
ladies and gentlemen. Don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell the data later to Silver String Media. But no, make sure it's tied to your Steam account because that's how you send it. And good luck. So go ahead with your conversation.
Yeah. So basically, like I was saying, if you were surprised by the actual companies being on that list, you may be a little too naive. Now, that should give you an actual real life perspective of just what kind of battle that's being fought here, because not only do you have to say, well, you have this little clique of journalists and these indie developers, and they're trying to control this whole narrative around indie developing, and they're trying to control who makes it big in indie dev sectors and who doesn't.
That is the important part. The devil's advocate, before you started saying that, would have said, well, if this doesn't affect the quality of games, then why does it matter? Just play your games. You don't have to read the magazines. The problem is that it does affect the quality of games, especially indie games.
Yes, because they can control, at least to some extent, they can influence buying power. They can say, well, this game is freaking great. And people will be like, well, they said that game is great. Let me go ahead and buy it. They're going to figure out that game is shit. But, after the money's spent, it's done. And that's also a huge problem with the whole pre-order culture.
I see that for pre-orders a lot. If one of the things that was interesting is in the review copies for Metal Gear Solid 4, one of the conditions was for writing the review on that was a ex-nay on saying anything about the length of the cutscenes until the game was released. So that might have turned off a lot of people. But they didn't want them to talk about that until the game was released, probably to drive up pre-orders for that anticipated game.
Yeah, and that's kind of funny too, because I look at a game like Metal Gear Solid 4, and I hear what you're saying. And that type of information actually surprises me, because it makes me wonder, did these people actually ever think that something like Metal Gear Solid would ever reach beyond a certain audience that wasn't already going to be interested in it? The Metal Gear Solid 2 felt like a betrayal because people wanted more Snake story and they got Raiden. Personally, I enjoyed the Raiden story. I had no idea what they would have done with Snake.
I have a copy of Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, and in the Substance re-release for Xbox, they added in a mode called Snake Stories where you can play the entire Big Shell section as Snake, just to make those people happy. Unfortunately, they didn't record any codec scenes, so all of the story is just like a text prelude before you start the various parts of the game, but yeah, they added in sync mode.
Yeah, and that's kind of a cop-out, and that actually needs to go back to a discussion of perhaps games as art and product, because at a certain point that has to be reconciled when it comes to basically making a game. Yes, you have an artistic product. There's artistry involved. There's a message you can send through your video game, but at the end of the day, at the bottom line, you do have to try to sell it as a product, or else your company sinks, and nothing is ever heard from you again. And that's a
Gamergate detractor at this point would respond by saying, yes, you have a point. But if so, why are you attacking the smaller journalists and the indie dev who can't defend themselves?
It's because the journalists have made it so the indie devs can't defend themselves. It's because that we have evidence that these same journalists and these same little clique of indie devs, ShillPhish and others, have actually colluded into certain little cliques that will not let a fair shake for these indie devs. There's a wealth of indie developed games that are actually pretty interesting when it comes right down to it, that are just not going to get this attention because they're not pushing what these people want to push to keep the clickbait going. And they're not in any personal relationships, or they're not in any monetary relationships with these people, so they're not going to push this. So it's not an attack on indie games. It's not an attack on developers. If anything, it's trying to free up that space again to allow them to have that voice and allow them to work a little bit more freely in the publishing model that the internet has been able to provide in the modern era. Because honestly, 10 years ago, an indie game would fucking struggle. These days, you have so many different services, so many different avenues of publishing. If you can't get it on Steam, you can do it on the indie bundle. If you can't do that, you can at least push it through a torrent. If you can't get funding, you can try to Kickstarter it. If you can't get funding, maybe a Patreon. You do something with that. But obviously, exposure and having a good idea is probably going to work, and you're going to have outliers like Minecraft that are going to viral themselves out of fucking control. But if you have a certain space that can give you a bigger voice and a bigger platform, and you're trying to get on that space and it's rigged, then we have a problem here.
I would like to ask the question.
Go for it.
Exactly what is indie at this point? I mean, we have indie games. We have 2 indie award shows. We have actual studios. We don't have indie games as in, hey, me and my 5 friends made a game. It's, hey, me and my 5 friends have formed a developing company, and then we went and hired some people, and now we're making a game, and we may have a publisher too. What is an indie game at this point?
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, that's a good question.
Rockstar did something about it, on his Shadowband blog post. Well, on his blog, he did talk about it. He said, hey, no, it's good to be indie. Everyone is fucking indie. You can have $1 million like Mojang, $1 billion and still be indie. I mean, indie is not clearly defined, so no, everyone labels themselves indie because it's hype and it helps to sell. Because if you do mistakes and you're a AAA studio, your customers won't forgive you, but oh, it's okay, he's an indie guy. So you do picture indie guy as one guy coding in his cave or his garage or his basement and going out when his game is done. But no, these guys have money now, they have companies, they have connections, so yeah. Why should we forgive them for their shitty piece of work?
Well, the only definition I can think of that would fit for indie at this point is, since a lot of AAA game publishers like EA, like Activision and Ubisoft are now outright buying their studios as opposed to just publishing for them, I could see, independent of a publisher studio, but that definition would then retroactively make all games indie. aside from when Activision makes a new, aside from a very few of the big ones, and we give indies special reserve, like they're new. We need to treat them different than everything else. And really, the more I see is that indie is no longer independent. It's now big. It's now big business, and we've turned little business into big business, but we still want to think it's little business. And I don't know what exactly is going on here.
But there are some indie games out there. There's.
All right, we're pausing for a sec while we're switching streams here. Congrats to who won that, by the way. I gave out the prize. 2 people under, you both got it right, but one person was there first. I'm not gonna say who won, but
what was the answer?
That out there. The answer was the Super Koopa Cousins.
Oh shit!
Brought to you by Wikipedia.
I've seen that movie way too many times, but I've never seen the post-ending credits. It's always cut in the TV launch.
Well, you can thank Wikipedia. But anyway.
Yay, Wikipedia.
Hopefully I didn't miss too much shit. Alright, Arif's recording, or going to be streaming here in a sec. I'm going to be right back, but keep talking. I'll be back.
Yeah,
if you guys want to take a break, viewers, go ahead. Please definitely get some more publicity on here. And again, I'm really appreciative of everyone that's watching.
I'm trying to set this up, but it doesn't seem to be working.
Well,
I'm trying to find.
Technical difficulties.
I'm trying to find this, but some.
Me.
Oh yeah.
What if it was sexually active?
Then it's gonna have high impact sexual violence that will end its life.
Yeah. Hey, there's
Parroting
that
intensifies.
pigeon dating game, right? Let's not pretend.
Anyway, what were we talking about? We were talking about what makes a game an indie game.
We were talking about indie, and then we were talking about Tim Schafer and.
Yes, Double Fine Adventure is Double Fine Adventure an indie game.
No.
I said this before the stream went up, but Tim Schafer is independent in the same way that I guess you know what?
Like
Justin
Valve?
Timberlake is independent. You know, he had his group, he was with them for a long time, and then he built a big name, he split off, and he's still a big name, yet he's kind of independent from that rest of that group. And it's the same thing with Tim Schafer, and he's been coasting off of that for a long time. And honestly, I want to draw attention to the latest thing with Space Base, because I was reading up on the chronology of that, and it seems like a huge scam directed on exploiting the early access game purchase model.
He would never do that after making $3.3 million for one game.
Yeah, that original budget for that game
For not
was
even
like
making one
way
game.
lower.
Like a quarter of the game.
I don't know. Like, I mean, it could be the guy is just really fucking horrible with money, and he needs to actually hire an accountant and a competent project manager.
You're right.
It could be that.
You know that pool from Scrooge McDuck where it's full of gold? That's pretty much what I'd do.
Yeah.
If I were Tim Schafer.
I mean, I'm working on that, but with cash, because when you dive into a pile of pennies, it trust me, it hurts.
You know, the shitty thing too is that fans of Tim Schafer, the fans wouldn't really have minded if he had taken the $400,000, made a good, complete game, and fucking pocketed the rest. None of the fans would have freaked the fuck out. But the fact that he wasted the money is what pisses people off.
Well, here's my thing.
Let's Notch is going on another vacation.
Yeah, right? Nobody cares that Notch goes on vacation. Nobody has a problem with it.
Yeah.
He's not lying. He's not cheating. He's not making excuses. He's just going on fucking vacation. Everybody's fine with it.
Yeah, I go on vacations.
Recent shit with Notch. Like, I know he sold his company to Microsoft, but there was like some Gamergate shit, and I wasn't aware that he actually came back from vacation. I thought he was done.
I didn't hear anything about
I think
Notch.
he's eternally on vacation. I think he's on vacation so much that he can't even say he's on vacation. He's just at home somewhere else.
So if you're always at vacation and then you go on vacation, where do you go? Where do you go to vacation from the vacation?
Home. Work.
Yeah.
You go
home.
you go
You
back
go
to your
home.
office.
Or
Play
work.
some Minecraft.
Yeah, I'm going on vacation to work. I'll see you guys later.
Minecrafter.
But now,
Oh, God.
back to Tim Schafer. Here's the thing. Let's I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, or maybe it's reality, I don't know, he says it is, that he spent the $3.3 million on the first half of the game, right? So here's the question. The other half of the game still needs to come out. Is it going to have a $3.3 million budget? If it isn't it going to be a lower quality game than the first half of the game?
Well, I have to wonder, was that $3.3 million spent completely in that game? Because he proposed a budget for a complete game, got way more money than he probably even expected to get, and then he went ahead and made half a game. If I was a backer of that shit, I would be extremely pissed. And if he ever came back with a Kickstarter thing, I would just... I honestly might actually actively campaign against it, because it just feels so much like a scam, and Kickstarter is so full of scams, and
nonsense.
The dude has such a huge name in game development and indie game development. Honestly, the biggest on Twitter, the biggest bite back was when he was talking about oh, you guys are picking on poor indie developers, and games cost money, and indie developers don't have money. And then people posted all the pictures of him with all the fucking money from the $3.3 million that he made like a jackass. That was just fucking beautiful. But like, I want to get back to the space-based thing. He didn't pull the money from Kickstarter and stuff. He pulled the money from other big-name personalities. I think the old X-Play crew was part of that. Morgan Webb and Adam Sessler and all that. And the initial investment was like $400,000, and they recouped that within a week after they sent it out on the early access model. They recouped their initial investment of $400,000 after they sent out on the early access model within a week. Let me repeat that. They recouped the initial $400,000 investment in the first week. That means all those investors at least got paid their money back. So then time goes by. Oh, we can't afford to do this game anymore. So whatever's left on early access, that's the version you're getting. So it leaves me as a consumer. Well, I didn't consume that shit, but it leaves me as at least an observer to sit back and think, well, did you actually have plans? Was what you put on early access meant to be more, or was that it? And were you just coasting off of a promise and then scamming these people out of cash? Or are you just that inept at managing money? There's these kind of questions that really need to be rooted out. And yeah, Gamergate is for the developers, and above all, I think, at least I believe, we're for the indie developers. But, these are some legitimate questions. What is indie these days? And maybe some of these developers actually need to be fucking investigated.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have no fucking clue what is indie anymore. I mean, is Tripwire indie? They just seem to strike me as a successful self-publishing company, or maybe that's what indie is, I guess. I mean, by that nature, couldn't we just say fucking Nintendo's indie? They make their own games and they publish them.
That was way too good a question. I can't respond to that.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of something else.
All right, well, I'm an idiot, so you can just ignore me. But
that question was awesome. That was totally valid. I just have no response. Like, what? How do you reply?
I guess you could say that they have teams, so it doesn't count or something.
No, I actually completely missed the question.
The question is, if all it needs to be independent developer is making your own games and publishing your own games, can we say that Nintendo is independent?
Was it Total Biscuit who suggested that maybe it was the fact that non-indie developers are not, or rather, non-indie developers are beholden to investors? Their only goal is not to make a good game and to make money for themselves, but to satisfy their investors as well.
So then Valve is an indie developer.
They did suggest that Valve was, yeah.
Because Gabe, based Gabe in the Messiah, has consumed a lot of food, but he's also he's also been on record as saying that he doesn't give a fuck about investors or what they want out of Valve or anything. And, that's a pretty okay statement for him to make because they are rolling in hat money. Just tons of money from hats.
Yep, them hats, man. He brought fashion to gamers.
It was, in fact, worth the wait.
I don't understand how the fuck do you sell hats in a first-person shooter? I just don't get it.
I think that's just a whole social dynamic. I mean, the hats were really just an unlockable. You had to do, you had to do work to get them. You had to reach a certain amount of stuff, and then it became randomly dropped, and then you could get them just from just doing anything, and then it just kind of spiraled out of that. The one thing that I really thought was kind of sad in Team Fortress 2 is because there was an entire social stigma in that, or the hat you were wearing, because they were randomly dropped, you would have, the longer you played, the more hats you got, and if you weren't wearing a hat, that automatically meant you were an inferior player because you just didn't have them yet. And that caused a lot of shit to happen on a lot of the servers, and I quit playing after that point.
That split the furry community. Furries love that game.
Well, it went free for a while, and from what I understand, a lot of people are super fucking broke, so they'll play whatever comes free. That's why Portal probably got really super fucking popular at one point, and Team Fortress 2. I remember playing Team Fortress Classic back in the days of Half-Life 1 and shit, man, what was that? Opposing Forces? That was the best.
You guys ever play Firearms?
That was way back in the day. Fucking GameSpy's File Planet. Every once in a while they would release a free game, and oh man, I'd be all over that because I had no money as a kid. My adventures into video gaming was convincing the parents to buy me, the PC Gamer or the Computer Gaming World, and had the demo disc in that, and I'd have, Unreal Tournament 2004 multiplayer demo. Oh man, I was on that, every day. That was my gaming back then. I played Wolfenstein Enemy Territory because it was free, and and a lot of games were accessible then, and there was kind of a nice community around that, and it's all gone. I'm wondering where it went. And it used to be if you had a free game like that, it would really succeed because it was accessible.
Yeah, I mean, the whole free-to-play craze. I mean, do you guys want to talk about free-to-play games? I think it'd be a good subject. I mean, we're a little late, I guess, to it, but at the same time, now that's all happened, we can kind of sit back and be like, all right, this is what happened, and, where is it going? I think TF2 was one of the early games to kind of be like, all right, look, this game's fucking free. And now it's become a stigma. I mean, pay to win is spawned solely because of free-to-play game.
Why don't we go back even further than that? Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. It was released, I want to say, in 2003. And it was going to be... It was going to be an expansion to Return to Castle Wolfenstein. It never quite made it, and Splash Damage released it as its own game for free. And for a while there, it was number 2 behind Counter-Strike as the world's most popular, shooter because it was free. Everybody played it.
The ability to pick up somebody else's fallen kit and disguise yourself as an enemy player was an extremely interesting gameplay mechanic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that game was amazing. And what was really sad, what I thought was really interesting is when they tried to do Brink, and Brink had some flaws, but a lot of people jumped into it and immediately compared it to Team Fortress 2, and that really wasn't the case, and I don't think that was a fair comparison, but I guess it's just like, I really don't know why that happened. The game was free, anybody could play it. I figured everybody had played it at that point, but I guess nobody did.
Brink had a Brink retail, didn't it? Pretty sure it did.
that was Splash Damage's first attempt at retail multi-platform, which was a huge disaster because Splash Damage probably couldn't code for the Xbox for their life. They had a publisher, they had advertising, they had everything on that.
I remember people hated it. They were like, fuck this game. I got it as part of a bundle, but I never played it.
Yeah, Brink was all right.
I think there was a big Penny Arcade review of Brink, and a lot of people thought it was going to be a lot better than it was because of it. Let me see if I can find out if that was Ben Kujera.
Well, the
Yeah,
thing with
it
Brink
all
is
ties
that
back into each other.
I think that was a case of people not doing the research because at the time, you know, you may judge me now. At the time, I used to follow that guy with the glasses, and all of those guys were railing Brink on announced features that the developers had interviews on why they made these changes to the game weeks before it was released, and they announced it like, "Oh my God, this is absurd! Why they did this."
Yeah, I don't know. It's surprising that it didn't do so well, but maybe part of the magic. Maybe they should have tried to monetize enemy territory, but you know, back in enemy territory days, the internet was very, very different, and I'm pretty sure Steam wasn't a thing. In terms of
Steam
digital
was a
retail,
thing, but
it wasn't what it is now.
I can't
Yeah,
find
but-
that original Brink review. I think the Penny Arcade report is just totally gone now.
You know, I say that
If
killed
Jack can
Brink.
find it, link it.
You know, I say what killed Brink was the lack of map and mod support. If it had that, the community would have fixed everything and probably imported a bunch of the old maps from Wolf enemy territory.
Yeah, but I mean but there was no attempts to monetize it. So, I mean, I guess it was the same way as most mods. I mean, like before Counter-Strike was bought by Valve and turned into, you know, a game, and they, you know, released it on fucking Xbox vanilla,
Something.
I think.
Can we talk about that? You know, this idea, the idea of monetizing absolutely everything.
Yeah, definitely. Go for it.
That's part of the free to play, isn't it?
Well, no, I don't mean it free to play to shit. I mean, like, but Crisis 2, okay? I want to have a Crisis 2 server. Well, you have to rent one from EA. You want to play another map, you have to buy the map packs. And so, you know, shit like hosting your own server is now a fee to the publisher.
Because they could get away with it. Because they've realized through all the DLC and microtransactions that people are willing to pay for this type of shit. And if someone's really that gung-ho about the game, they want to host their own server, well, god damn it, they can actually charge for that too. And there are, you know, you complain about it, but there are just droves of people who are just happy enough to shove money right down their throats for the privilege to be charged to host a server. Because they don't know how to do it.
Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. But I mean, we can talk about maps. I mean, I'm guilty of this. I mean, I love Payday 2, and when they put out the Big Bank heist recently of the dentist or whatever the hell, I mean, it was $7 fucking for one goddamn map and a weapon and achievements and shit. It was a lot of money, and I still bought it, and you know, I don't really regret my purchase. But
did they kiss you first?
No, they didn't. They didn't even call me afterwards. It was bullshit.
Was it dry?
A little bit. I moistened it up.
I don't know why they're doing this stuff either, because you know how much money I would pay for a fucking expansion pack with the quality of Brood Wars these days? I'd probably shell out like $80 for that, because there's nothing else.
Base game?
I miss fucking Battlefield 1942 and its 3 expansions. I mean, that was additional content there. That was content worth buying.
Here's the bad thing. Here's the sad thing about a Brood War expansion. A Brood War expansion these days would be a complete game. It would be the complete game. And you know what? Do you guys remember that there was a Katamari Damacy game released on the Xbox 360?
Oh yeah.
I don't.
Was that We Love Katamari? Did it do a multiplat?
I don't know if it did a multiplat, but I think it was We Love Katamari. At any rate, you could get this game pretty cheap compared to the rest of titles, even new. I think new, it was like $40. Compared to every other title, it was like every other title is $60. Now, here's the one thing that they did that was interesting with DLC to me. So you had this game, and you played right through it, but if you wanted more, if you really wanted more, they had all these DLC packs that would add a couple more maps per DLC pack, and they would also add achievements. And you would basically buy these map packs, and if you wanted the full game, you would raise that price all the way up to that $60 mark, right? So you start with a base game that's $40, and you go, well, shit, I like this, I want more of this. So you buy a map pack. Well, shit, I want more of this. Let me get more of this. You buy another one, and they were all in separate chunks. That I forgot how many of them there were. There were quite a bit. That actually, in total, when it came down to actually pricing it out versus Xbox points and shit like that, it came out to like an actual $60 game. Obviously, they're losing money like crazy if you bought this shit secondhand for like $10. But either way, I thought that was an interesting model to do. Because now, like, alright, so you have a game kind of in part. But what we're seeing is, here's this $60 game, now pay us $10, $15 more for this whole extra character, or this whole extra shit that is already on the disc. Day Zero DLC is what I'm talking about, that they're trying to charge you more for that should already be part of the game. That Mass Effect 3 debacle. But you talk about like all this trying to monetize every single little thing, like map packs and stuff. I bought map packs all the time back when Gears of War was a hot fucking game. I love me some Gears of War, up until Judgment. But, you know, I bought all that shit, but at least it came with a good amount of things. And Nintendo recently did a thing for Mario Kart 8. Do you guys know about that?
The fucking real cars or whatever?
No. Beyond that, they
Skins?
released. No, they did.
Tell me.
They did two different DLC packs, and altogether they actually add, I think, about 8 tracks. I think they add a couple cups. No, they add 4 cups, I think. Several characters and several cars and several customization options. I think they bundled it together. I mean, someone's gonna have to look this up, because when I got it, I was like, oh, this is a fucking great deal. But it comes out to be like buying Mario Kart back in the 64 days. It almost comes to be an entire Mario Kart game for like $10. You know what I mean? That's doing it right.
Yeah.
That's an expansion pack. But you know, it's kind of funny because Nintendo had long since been like, how many years have they been saying they've been against DLC?
A while. I mean, I remember I think they first started doing it with the Fire Emblem game, and people were really nervous about it, and, you know, they tried to quell it by being like, all right, well, you know, the first, like, couple months or whatever, it's a free download from the store. But, I don't know. Keep going.
Yeah, so one in the chat said it's $12 for both DLC packs, or $7 a piece. But, yeah, pretty good deal. Meanwhile, most of the things are trying to get you to pay like $2, $3 for like a costume pack. I remember Fable 3. Fable 3, you went through and you played through it, and you're like, well, shit, there's not many options for my character versus, Fable 1.
Basically
Fable
get
1.
like a rifle and just go to town, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just in terms of like clothing and stuff, you had like 3 different outfits you could do stock, and then they wanted you to pay for different, like, pay actual money, you know, these microtransactions, for clothing, and then for like different colored dyes and shit like that. Stuff that you should be able to find in game that they're trying to just squeeze the money out of.
Quick thing, just I'm gonna take over the stream, so I'm gonna be muted, and I'm gonna broadcast Rogue Legacy, and this time it will work since we tested it. So I'm just waiting for Scanner Pro.
He's a podcast editor on the internet. He comes from an anime image board. He does it for free. He takes his job very seriously. He does it because it is the only amount of fame he will ever have in his pathetic life. He has a microphone. He won't record an outro for the podcast because he's lazy. He deletes large sections of the podcast he doesn't like because they give him too large of a workload. He will never have a real job. He will never move out of his parents' house. He will never bake at a healthy weight. He will never know how to cook anything besides a Hot Pocket. He will never have a girlfriend. He will never have any friends.